If you've seen yams in the supermarket and you've wondered what to do with them, let me show you a tasty treat that you can have pre-dinner, or if you're going to somebody's place for dinner and you wanted to take a delicious treat that just needs heating up, check these out. So easy. Moroccan cheesy yam bites. Grab your yams, cut them in half. Maybe you cut them in half again because you really want each one to be about 2 bite size. So it really depends on the size of your yams. Get them all cut up into whatever size you think, into some cold water. Grab some salt and pop it in there. Bring it up to the boil and let them simmer away for 6 minutes. Whilst that's going on, grab some rineless streaky bacon. I'm using Grassy Knolls bacon here. There's no added sugar in there, which is kind of good. And I've stretched them out onto a board and I'm just cutting them into pieces that I think are long enough to wrap around each yam. I've got some Moroccan seasoning going on. You could use whatever seasoning you like. You could even use a little bit of curry powder, some Mexican seasoning, but I'm using my Moroccan. You could have no seasoning, but it adds a little bit of magic. Anyway, these guys have been cooking for 6 minutes. Strain them off, and now I'm just going to put them into a tray and let them cool down. They kind of start to break up a little bit, but that's why we're cooking them just for 6 minutes. Once they're cool, lay them on top of your bacon, and then we're just going to roll the bacon around the yam. There we go, just like that. Doesn't take long. Sorry, it's all a bit of a finger shot here. It's hard to kind of show you, but and then we want the seal to be at the bottom, so we're actually resting the roll with the cut piece at the bottom. So when we cook it, we don't need to worry about putting a skewer in there. The bacon will stay around the yam. And I'm just going to get a little bit of olive oil into the tray. I'm going to pop them in. I've preheated the oven at 185 degrees C, and that's ready to go. Once these guys are all in there, it's a case of pop them in the oven and cook them until the bacon is cooked. And that's going to really depend on whether you've got your oven on fan or whatever, what a convection, however you've got it, but you'll be able to tell by just looking in there when they're cooked just enough for the bacon to be cooked and hold together. Whilst they're in the oven, I've got some goat's cheese. I got this from the supermarket. It's a soft chèvre style goat's cheese, and I'm just cutting it in half. It's about 80 grams here, and it's going to be sort of a large teaspoon piece. So I've cut it into half and half again and half again because I've got 16 pieces, and I ended up with 16 little cubes there. And it's kind of crumbly, but that's the good thing about it because it's going to be soft. See, these guys, they look cooked, don't they? So that's kind of what you're looking for. We'll get those out of the oven. And whilst they were in the oven, I actually got some of these vine leaves. You can buy these from any good food store or supermarket has them. They use them to make dolmas. I just pop them down on a bench. I'm getting a whole pile of them here. So I've got one leaf for each of the wraps. There they are, they're out of the oven. Now it's just a case of wrapping these guys up. I've got a pair of scissors here. There we go, down it goes. You kind of need the scissors, you'll see why. And it was pretty hard to sort of film this without having a whole shot of fingers. So I'm just putting the cheese down, and then I'm putting the bacon wrapped yam in there on top. I've squashed it down a little bit. Now I'm sort of folding it up, and I'll use the scissors to get rid of any excess of the leaf, because I don't want it to be all about the leaf. I want you to bite in there and get that lovely creamy goat's cheese, because we're going to heat these up again. Now you can do these the night before. In fact, they'll last in the fridge for a couple of days. And see how I've just cut that stalk piece off, because that'll be a bit like eating a twig, so we get rid of that. But there you go, just wrapping it up again, and I'll use the scissors to get rid of the excess vine leaf. I just throw those away, actually, the bits that I trim off. It's not really any use for those, but these guys are pretty cheap, so it doesn't really matter. And then they're in the tray, just a drop or two of extra virgin olive oil on top, and then I'm going to sprinkle some more Moroccan seasoning on top. And then they're all ready. They could go in the fridge. I'm actually going out for dinner tonight, so I'm taking these with me. And it's just going to be a case of asking them to turn their oven on to 185 degrees C, and I'll basically just cook them until they're hot. But when they are hot and cook for about 3 or 4 minutes, they go a little bit crispy on the outside, and trust me, they're super delicious. The texture of the yam, the soft goat's cheese, the flavour of the Moroccan seasoning, and I'm using some caramelised balsamic there. In the description below I'll put a link where you can buy some. It's absolutely delicious, but use whatever balsamic you like. But that caramelized balsamic is just delicious on anything, whether it's strawberries over a steak or as a dipping sauce or just on a salad. But they look great, they're impressive, they're not what people expect when they bite into it because they're not used to having a yam. I'd love you to like and subscribe and tell me in the comments below what you'd like next, what you thought of this dish, and check out my date bite, the link's above. Happy days everybody.